Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to contour your nose. This is my before and after. My personal preference on contouring my nose is quite minimalistic. I don't like to go too crazy because personally with my nose shape, if I go too much and too heavy-handed, it looks very obvious. Contouring my nose was always something I really struggled with because whenever I used to turn to the side, it always looked so obvious. You could see a really harsh line. As you can see here, it doesn't have that, but from the front it looks very slim at the top and also very upturned at the tip as well, so my nose just looks a lot more petite. So if you do want to see how to achieve a nose contour look like this, then just keep on watching. So something you always need to remember when you are contouring your nose is that your nose is different to everyone else's. So you need to have a good feel of your nose and really get to know what shape it is and what you want to do to it. So really, what techniques I use will be slightly different for whichever nose that you have. Personally, me, I have quite a bulbous tip of my nose, so that is generally my main concern, but of course your main concern may be something a little bit different. First step is just making sure I have a flawless base underneath anything we're going to be applying. That way everything will just apply a lot smoother. You don't want to apply this to bare skin or anything like that because the products we're using on top, you really want them to sort of glide on smoothly. So a good base is very important. The next step is going to be applying 2 lines of concealer on either sides of my nose. I'm using a concealer that's 2 to 3 shades lighter than my actual skin tone. And what this will do is actually create a slimming effect and make it appear like my bridge, and also the bottom of my nose is a lot slimmer than what it actually is. I'm taking this concealer just underneath the eyes as well, and I'm going to be blending that in with my sponge. This will just make everything look a lot more natural in the sense that it looks like you have a narrow nose, but that colour from either sides of your nose is continuing onwards to your under eyes. So you want to make sure you blend this very well, but you want to make sure also that you keep those 2 lines in that sort of position that they're already in. Next, you just want to make sure that that is all set in place and also brightened, and the contour and highlight kit I'm going to be using for this whole tutorial is the Kat Von D Shade and Light palette. Highly recommend this for nose contour, by the way, because it applies so smoothly. So I'm just setting that concealer on the sides of my nose and also on my under eyes, just so that it doesn't budge and also so that it really brightens it as well. Next, we're going to be taking this light contour shade from that same palette, and I'm going to start to contour the sides of my nose. So the brush I actually like to use to contour my nose is a little sort of angled eyeshadow brush. These usually come in sets, and I'm not kidding, I always usually throw these away, but since I've started contouring my nose with these, I'm in love, so always keep these, just not for eyeshadow, for contouring your nose instead. So what I'm going to be doing is just contouring the sides of my nose, but stopping midway through the nose. So I'm only going to be contouring up to just where it starts to get rounded, so just to about there. So I've just contoured the sides of my nose, and when it gets to that point, I'm going to be creating a little L shape. So what this is going to do is create the appearance of a shorter nose. It's harder to explain and it's easier to actually watch what I'm doing. I hope I'm explaining this okay. But I'm just kind of creating a little L, as you can see, and then on the other side a little backwards L, and this will just really shorten the nose. Doing this also makes the nose look a lot less round at the top, which really helps to make it in turn look smaller as well. To contour the bottom of my nose, I'm going to be taking the same brush with the same powder and just contouring just above the nostril, and I like to do this in 2 little curves just above the nostril instead of just drawing a straight line across. I just personally prefer this and I think it looks more natural. Okay, so next I'm going to be highlighting, and this step is just as important as contouring. I'm taking a flat shader brush with some of that yellow powder we used underneath our eyes, and I'm just going to be highlighting the center of the nose. This will make this area appear like it's coming out a little bit more, but doing it more narrow, just right in the center, makes it look very narrow. And I'm also just going to be taking this on the sides of my nose to clean up the sides of that contour. Now, a lot of people do this and leave it like this, and this gives a very fake nose effect. You're going to see when I'm finished what it looks like before I kind of blend it out, and you could totally leave it like this. If you like your nose to look really fake and small, you can totally leave it like this. Personally, I prefer something a little bit more natural, so I'm going to be blending it out with a sponge, but you could totally leave it like this or just buff it out a little bit, but I like to really buff this out because I don't want it to look really obvious when I turn to the side. But as you can see, this shape really changes the shape of my nose. So to make it look a little bit more natural, I'm just going to be going on top of that with my sponge, and this will will just kind of push that product into the skin and make it look like a natural shadow. I highly recommend doing this and blending it out as much as you can when it comes to going out in daylight especially, just because it will really look obvious if you leave it that way. For pictures and stuff like that, why not? But when it comes to actually being out in daylight, it always looks more obvious than what you think. So this is the way it looks again, and honestly I love the way it turned out. It looks like my nose shape still, but just a little bit better, if that makes sense. So yeah, it just makes my nose look a teeny bit smaller. And yeah, I really hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, then don't forget to like it and share it with your friends. Also follow me on social media so you don't miss a thing, and I will see you guys in my next one. Love you guys. Bye.